Well, I really liked the piece in your book, or the chapters, about how how the child is influenced by the parents' ability to deal with anger or not, or just their style of dealing with anger. And because I'd never thought about it quite that way, but that's what intrigued me about your course, is to really see it from that perspective and to see the child as being molded, and just to really look at anger from each of the Ennea points as to how the parents would react when the child expresses that emotion. And it was just so helpful to
Well,
see. Yeah.
I'm glad. I wonder about that book if I didn't overdo it a little bit because the real purpose of the book, well, one of the main purposes is to provide all kinds of scenarios for parents of different Enneagram types to imagine them in this scenario with their child. Okay. And to ask themselves, how am I influencing the child right now? One of the interesting things that I've come to understand is that in the universe, there are what, three types of charges, right? There's positive, negative, and neutral. Okay? So the same dynamic is at play with the child. Okay? Whenever it is experiencing something like, say, you have an 8 parent and a 1 parent. So the 8 amplifies the charge of anger. The 1 minimizes it, right? The child's being subjected to both. Well, the child can either align itself with one or the other, withdrawal or move toward, or it can remain neutral or ambivalent. It's just one of those three things. And depending on the strategy of the child, that's the thing that drives me crazy about all this really is, in order to talk about it, we're talking about it in terms of languaging the child's inner state, which is not the child's inner state, because the child doesn't have words like this yet. Okay, the child is having a very direct, immediate, emotional and energetic and embodied experience, and we use words to lay on that and say, oh, here's what's going on in the child. No, points to what's going on in the child, but that's not what's going on in the child. So I appreciate that. You think that I pulled that off in the book with, did I overdo it too much with too many examples?
You came at it from a lot of different angles, because I know you said originally it was going to be more like a workbook. So I actually appreciated you took it from, the parent's perspective, and then almost from the child's perspective, I think. Or it just, you brought it back in different ways. So it was, yeah, I was struck by how it was the similar format, like dealing with the same parental combination, but kind of just approaching it from different ways. It made me really think about that. And also, so the child is mostly, as you were describing, we're trying to help the child learn how to regulate themselves, basically. But we've overlaid that with our preference for how we deal with emotions. So it gets quite interesting when those two come together. And I really appreciated seeing the two parents, right? How each of them in the same situation would reinforce or subdue anger, or like the 8 will go, yes, good, express yourself, and another type would calm or try to comfort.
Another orientation of the book that I'm hoping for is that people that read the book reflect on their childhood. What was it like in your family of origin around anger? And having read this, what?
Yeah, well, one description. So I had a father who was a 9 and a mother who was a 6, and I'm a 9. So I really appreciated your description of that anger just went underground. Like it just went into this underground stream, and I, been working on myself for years, and it's still so hard to find it because there was just no place for it. Yet this my sensitivity as a child picked it up. And so my body knows anger in a lot of different ways, but my ability to feel the strength of it or the power of it, or to actually access it, is limited. It's like in this underground stream.
Understanding this connection between essential strength, or the red essence, and anger, that our soul functions, and the way that it interfaces and functions through the body and through our psyche and all of these different things that have to do with this, is objective reality calls forth what's needed. If compassion is needed, compassion arises out of the soul and tries to make its way into the surface of your consciousness and extend itself into this world to help you deal with whatever is happening objectively. But as that essential quality tries to rise, whatever issues we have, whatever gunk is in the way, blocks it and frustrates it. And then that energy gets distorted into something else. So in this case, with the red, it becomes false strength, which is anger. That frustration distorts it into anger. And it's so interesting to watch the difference between the red work when it's free to work, with the different attributes it has, like discrimination and setting appropriate boundaries, and the aliveness and the aggressiveness of life itself, expansion and moving out. That type of aggression doesn't have hostility in it. It's just the life force expanding itself and moving from moment to moment. Whereas you see people use anger to do the same things, but it's not so skillful, and it doesn't come off as nice. There's a lot of collateral damage that goes along with it. And then a big issue we have is, depending on our family of origin, and even not the family of origin, but we all have examples of seeing people just blow up and go crazy. And I don't want to be like that. And when you get in touch with this energy, if you get really pissed at something, it's not like, well, I want to go out and take a baseball bat and beat on a tree or something. No, you feel the power of that. You want to destroy the world. You want to destroy universes. You feel that capacity because you're in touch with the entire power of the universe. And so that gets linked up to all the crap we've seen in our childhood. And it's like, I can't do that. I'm going to explode. I'm going to get out of control and harm people and do it. And it's true, that happens. But if we learn to work with it effectively, and we learn the connection between essence and how the ego distorts it and turns it into something else, then there's hope for us.